They want us to think that we're an insignificant speck of dust, but let me tell you, we are so much more than dust in the wind.
At least 4 billion useless eaters will be eliminated by the year 2050.
I'm still waiting for somebody to show me gas pressure without a container.
I personally don't believe anything they say, right down to the God they claim they worship.
None of the math adds up.
You could stack up all their math books, all their science books, and even put all their degrees stacked up on top of that, and you still wouldn't be high enough to see the curvature.
This is exactly why grounding is so important.
We see too far.
We're just regular people who know we're being lied to. We're tired of it.
The bottom line is, there's only one choice left, and that's to dismantle this whole thing from the top down.
Right.
We're very
No
laid back. We
worries.
just like to have a conversation. And since you only have an hour, I kind of want to just jump into it if you're cool with that, because
Yeah,
I know you
of
have
course.
a lot to say. So first of all, just tell people who you are, where to find you, what you do.
Yeah, so my name is BX. My name is actually Becca. It's actually, my parents did not name me BX. But I go by BX on X, BX on Rumble, and BX Investigates on YouTube. Although my fourth part of my video series is not on YouTube because they removed it immediately.
Yeah, we just got kicked off YouTube. We can't post anymore. So we feel
Are
you.
you serious?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
permanently?
I don't. It
Pretty
just
sure.
keeps saying too many strikes to post. Too many strikes
Yeah.
to post.
Oh
so.
no, that's
Yeah.
crazy. You know, YouTube is such bullshit. I mean, now I probably should have known better than to post what I did on YouTube, because I know that they have a thing about mass shooting stuff. Like, you cannot include any GoPro footage whatsoever.
Oh,
It doesn't matter if they're just walking up somewhere, if they're like taking selfies, it doesn't matter. You can't show it. And I should have known that. I don't know why
Duly
it was
noted.
spaced. Yeah, so they immediately removed the video and were like, "Hey, you can't." But you know, to their credit, they were very specific about what I did wrong. They were like, "You
Yeah.
cannot show any kind of GoPro footage." So now I just have to
That's-
go back to my video editor and like remove that and replace it with something else for YouTube.
All they said to us, so this is really weird. I don't want to distract from what you were saying, but while we're talking about YouTube, all it said to us was community violation or community whatever violation, and it was from an episode about Donald Trump from literally like 30 weeks ago.
Yeah.
All of a
That's
sudden
really
they struck
random.
it like
Yeah.
it really was. They're like, "Oh, you guys strike on this video. It was 28 or 30 weeks old or something, and just now you can't post anymore." So we'll see what happens.
Well,
But anyway,
yeah, like 2 years ago, my YouTube channel was taken off, and I had been doing these deep dives into all, you know, just anything, but into mass shooting specifically. And YouTube removed my entire channel with no strikes, no warnings.
just gone.
And they did not tell me what video broke the rule. They didn't tell me why I got banned, but they banned me so hard that I could never make another account. Like, I wasn't even allowed to watch YouTube. Technically, I'm not even
Damn.
allowed to watch YouTube. Like, they're like, so I have like a Google TV, right? And I had to actually do a factory reset on my Google TV because it was linked to that YouTube account. I had to reset the TV with a completely new Google account.
Yeah.
And then my daughter was like, you know, she was like 4 at the time, 5. And I explained to her, like, Mommy got banned from YouTube. You can't watch it anymore. I know.
It's probably better that way, anyways.
Yeah,
it's probably
so
been the
well,
Yes.
we figured it out now, and I have another channel that's being run by somebody else because I'm like
Smart.
Mac address banned, like, and we
Dang,
still don't know
jeez.
why.
You must be
Yeah.
over the
Well,
target.
I
for
mean,
sure.
you know why. Let's be honest. You know why. But you may not know the
Yeah.
specific reason they chose, but you know why, because you're speaking
I
truth.
must have said something that just really was like, get this girl off, like pull the plug. And actually, I had just put out a couple of videos about the Buffalo shooting, which I just put out another video that also got removed from the Buffalo shooting. So yeah, 2 years later, I'd been investigating that particular shooting for 2 years. We finally got answers, and I made another video. So that's out on Rumble. You can watch it on Rumble.
Yes, that's the only place we can. Well, on Spotify also. Do you post on there? You should try on there. We haven't had anything strike from there yet.
Well, I can't. Well, is it a video or just
You can do
audio?
No,
video,
just
yes,
audio.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
you
you
can?
can.
Oh,
do video
you
as
can
well.
do video now?
Yeah, they
That's
just
On
right.
added it.
Spotify?
It's in beta. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm gonna try it. It's in beta, so we'll see.
I
But
can
it would
actually
be cool.
say that's true because a few I've listened to at work, it pops up and says, "Do you want to watch the video or just audio?"
Fun.
So
Right.
yeah,
cool.
So they're
that
working
might
on
be
it.
a
We'll
good
see.
idea.
We'll see.
Yeah, so well, for right now, X and Rumble, and I'll work on a YouTube edit, I guess. But if you want the original version,
Yeah.
X and Rumble. So yeah, but you guys have a really unique the phone booth podcast. It's kind of cool because like I'm an older millennial too, so I was like, oh shit, Bill and Ted, I grew up on that, and I like when Death followed me on Twitter, like it didn't register until
Yeah.
I saw the rest of you, and then I was like, oh, that's so clever.
So the reason it happened was because Bill and I we've been friends for 25 years or something, and we wanted to start Twitter accounts to start talking mostly about Flat Earth, but about all the truth. So we were like, it doesn't matter who we are. It's not us that's important. It's the information. So let's just pick
Correct.
some whimsical characters and put it out. And then we found Rufus and Death, and like people seem to flock to that because of the nostalgia. And we kind of try to stay with the humor, like you said before. You have to be funny right now. You have to, because it's too depressing if you're not. It just really is.
Yeah, especially with the kind of stuff that I've been doing. It's that's one of the things that I kind of pointed out about my platform is like, so I'd been researching these satanic cults for a while. I've been following this specific satanic cult called Order of Nine Angles. They're a satanic neo-Nazi accelerationist organization where basically they're trying to use sinister, spooky Satanism to collapse the West. They want to collapse Western tradition, Judeo-Christian religion, and all of our traditions of the West. But ultimately, they want to see the U.S. in ashes, right? So anybody who wants to see the U.S. in ashes could theoretically kind of adopt this, cult ideology and push for it. But I noticed that there were a few niche reporters, journalists who worked for media outlets like Washington Post, Wired, The Guardian, and they're doing great work, really good work. These are like there's maybe like 3 or 4 people who are, Allie Winston and Jake Hanrahan. There's just a couple of really niche journalists in that realm that are covering this topic. And that's like what they do, right? And they're doing a good job. However, for the last couple of years, I'm watching them post these articles that are like mind blowing to me. Like, why isn't more people talking about this? I'm like thinking to myself, well, like, how many people are actually seeing these articles, though? I mean, it's like one of those things where it's pretty fringe, and I feel like there's only a couple of people covering this, and maybe with my crazy demeanor, maybe with my platform and knowing certain people, maybe I could push this from a different angle, because those journalists, they work for a media group, right? Like they can't say certain things online. They have to be very brand conscious, very audience friendly or whatever. And I don't. I can
You're fully independent,
correct?
Fully independent.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't have a job on the line. I'm not going to get a call from my editor like yelling at me. So like I can poke bears and I can shake trees and I can try to get this. That was my goal. Like how do we get more people to start seeing this satanic cult, and as of last year or like early this year, the child abuse predator cult that's actually spun off of that. How do we get people to see that without having to like click on like some, randomly see some article on The Guardian or whatever?
Yeah. Where are these people located from? Where are they coming from?
Are you talking about?
Yeah, and Order of Nine Angles, you called it, I believe.
Yeah, so Order of Nine Angles was started in the 70s in the UK by a man named David Myatt. He's a National Socialist. He's a lifelong. In fact, he worked, or not worked, but he was part of Column 88. and some of the Gladio networks, interestingly enough. So this guy's been like old school neo-Nazi from that era, right?
Wow.
Post-Soviet era, or the Soviet era. So David Myatt started this cult, and then it basically spread throughout the world via their cells are called Nexians. So you've got various Nexians all over the world. You've got Temple of Them, which is in Australia. You've got Mortis Covenant. Oh yeah, that's the Order of Nine Angles Nexian.
Oh damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
There's all kinds of different kind of just like branches of there's a White Star Exception, which is a woman led. There's actually a lot of women in the Order of Nine Angles. It's actually a very feminine, feminist oriented cult.
Do you know what that name refers to?
Order of Nine Angles?
Yes.
Where does it come from? Is it rooted it?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna be honest. Like it is a Lovecraftian style apocalyptic death cult, and I would hesitate to kind of take some of the stuff very literally because it's gonna be seeped in, this Lovecraftian cult that this guy created. I mean, this guy's like David Myatt could be L. Ron Hubbard in a way, right?
Okay.
With how elaborate the cult is.
Just when I start hearing angles in this, I think Freemasonry immediately. So I'm like, does it have anything to do with that?
It has to do with like the septenary system. It has to do with certain planets and and there's the causal realm, which is our realm, the one that we live in, and the acausal realm, which is like the occult aspect of it. And the idea is that basically the world goes through eonic shifts. And the eon that we're in right now is this Judeo-Christian eon, which is like they want to move to the next eon, which will be a sinister, evil, eon of human civilization. And they believe that in order to basically shift the world towards that evil, they need to perform sinister acts of evil in order to push the world towards that shift. And then which
works. I mean,
and then it's accelerationism, right? The other way to look at it is they're just trying to collapse the United States from a more realistic standpoint. But they also believe in an Aryan super race called the Galactic Imperium. It's an Aryan Galactic Imperium where they believe that if there's
white people on all planets. Sorry.
Right. Exactly. Obviously. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's kind of funny you said that. But yeah, so basically they believe in a galactic super imperium where if they build themselves up and they do all these self-initiatory rites where they go live in the wilderness by themselves for several months and do all these character building activities, that they'll basically be the strongest. And then once the eon shift occurs, they'll rule the apocalyptic ashes with their evil, sinister Aryan galactic super imperium, and then eventually populate the Milky Way.
I'm sorry.
It goes that far.
We're not laughing at you. We're laughing at them.
No, did they
goofy.
plan on hitching a ride on the Hail Bob comet or what?
Yeah. You know what's funny though is that when he developed this cult in the 70s and 80s, it's almost like a sign of the times. You can actually look at this and be like, oh yeah, that made sense in the 80s and early 90s with all the UFO cults and stuff.
I mean,
the age of Aquarius and all that.
Suits.
Yeah,
we're coming.
So they haven't evolved much. Okay. So this cult, honestly, as kooky as it is, one of the things that makes it dangerous is that, again, they're brainwashing people into the cult and trying to lead them towards committing acts of domestic terrorism, essentially. Culling people who are inferior, which could be Jewish people, or according to the cult, right? Jewish people or minorities or anybody who they deem inferior, which of course they're National Socialists. So they are quite literally Nazis. They also worship Hitler and Osama bin Laden, and they want to install a fascist.
That's an odd combination.
It's very strange.
I worship Hitler and Osama bin Laden. You know,
They
the person who hates everybody but white Christians and the Muslim cave dude.
So there's also a thing called insight roles. So this is where the Islamic stuff comes in, right? So the insight role is basically part of their initiation process that says that prospective members need to infiltrate various communities that are like the opposite of them. So if you're Christian, you're going to infiltrate an Islamic, group and try to kind of manipulate people in there and lead them towards National Socialist causes. You're trying to corrupt and subvert organizations from within, which is very Gladio.
That's it's pretty smart.
Yeah, right. It is.
If they were doing something good, it's smart.
Yeah.
But
well, you basically indoctrinate these cult members into thinking that they're doing it for this eonic shift for the Aryan galactic super imperium. But in reality, what you're doing is you're just promoting this political agenda, which is what the original cult leader had in mind. It's not actually that crazy. And so, that the danger is that this cult preys on people who are mentally ill, who can be easily radicalized and provoked. And, a lot of them act as shadowy provocateurs to try to get people to commit mass shootings and other acts of domestic terrorism. To advance
I was
their
gonna
national
I was
socialist
gonna
agenda.
ask. You think it might be
That was
MK Ultra based because it was big in the 70s over there in Britain, and then
I don't want to give them that much credit, bro, because like
fair enough. I like that. That's a great answer.
Because if you go to their Twitter page right now, which is the Temple of Blood, which is the more violent and extreme and pedophilic Nexian, right?
No.
They have all these like books about Monarch and MK Ultra, and they try to use that in their aesthetic, But no, honestly, the thing about MK Ultra is a lot of people get confused when you say that word, and they think you mean like LSD mind control. But in reality, MK Ultra consisted of like 130 something sub projects where the goal was just to control people's behavior. And in my opinion, they realized that they didn't need drugs to control people's behavior. You can control people's behavior through behavioral, radicalization, indoctrination, cults. Cults are a great example of how you can control people's behavior. And cults were an output of MK Ultra. So in a way, it led to all of this body of knowledge that these people use, right? But no, I don't think they're using any specific tactics. I think they're just mostly retarded.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
thank
funny
you
that
for
you say
helping
that.
to bring that word back.
It's fun,
and not in a mean way, but the people at the top of this cult are very smart. They're very good at controlling people. They're cult leaders.
Correct.
Yeah, they're cult leaders.
Who I would never call retarded? Someone with an actual mental disability.
Yeah, it's
only
like that
call
Office episode
retarded
where he's like, you don't call
people.
retarded people retarded. You call your friends retarded when they're being retarded.
So anybody who has a problem with that word, get over it. None of us don't like people with mental disabilities, okay?
If you're more retarded than the person with the actual disability, you're retarded. That's it.
Now they do prey on those types of people who are actually mentally challenged too.
I could see that.
I saw that video you posted about the shooter from. I watched so many. I crammed today. I'm not gonna lie. Normally I have more time and whatever, but I crammed today and watched a bunch of your stuff. So it's all kind of jumbled together. But talking about the breakdown of that shooter, you're probably like, which one? Damn it! I should have wrote it down. But
it's the one in Georgia.
All I remember had a bunch of different color hair.
Was it the mass shooter or was it the guy that was like
in the movie theater?
Shot his mom, was it?
Nah, I
remember he had
Are you talking about Highland Park? Highland Park?
I believe so, yes.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna probably be at that kid's trial in February.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. That shit went deep. I still don't know what the hell happened. And I can tell you, I'm not convinced he actually committed that shooting. I want to see the trial. I want to see the evidence come out. I want to see the evidence come out. They're trying to force him into a plea deal. And I think it's super unethical to try to like basically torture people into taking a plea deal. but that's happening 100%. Most of
Yeah.
these shooters take plea deals. He's not. Bobby Cremo is not taking a plea deal. He says that plea deals are for guilty people.
I
Well,
mean,
that's
yeah.
It's wild.
I mean,
I looked into that. I spent probably 2 years. Like, in the way that I kind of found my team that I work with now is we were all looking into that shooting at the same time because there was just something different about it. Something different. There was something weird going on, and none of us were convinced, and none of us are like super conspiracy brain, like looking for the deep state. We're all just like trying to track, his footprint and stuff, and all of us ended up in the same boat. Like, what the hell? This is some things don't add up on this one. So yeah, that one was weird
for us
Not
and the
usual.
audience listening, because there's been quite a few of them. Can you run by again, like the overview of what went down there at that specific?
Yeah, so
shooting?
the Highland Park shooting, this was in July 4th, 2022.
Okay.
This was the guy who they found a rapper, like he was a rapper, like a lo-fi rapper, Awake the Rapper. He allegedly shot from the rooftop of a building onto a 4th of July parade in Highland Park, Illinois, which is right outside of Chicago. When I say right outside of Chicago, I mean it's actually a predominantly upper class Jewish community. It's not Chicago,
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, after that he went on he was on the run for a while, and they ended up catching him. He had a huge online footprint with all these weird kind of dumb music videos. One of them looked like he had planned out his shooting years in advance. It was very strange. The media made it seem like those videos were put out right before the shooting, but in fact they were years old. So
what the media does is, we all know what they do for sure.
Well, there's a lot of cognitive dissonance with people, right? At the same time, they'll be saying, "Oh, look at all these red flags this guy had. He made a music video that had violence in it." And then at the same, it's like, do you really want to go there?
What rapper
Like,
didn't? What rapper or artist didn't? I mean, come on.
Right. Like, what would you want to do about that? Do you want the police to kick your door down because you make a kooky YouTube video? Like,
So I have to ask you a question. We usually ask this in the beginning, but how did you get started on this? Was there a single moment that was like an aha that you woke up and realized nothing's what it seems and everything's a lie or whatever? Or is there was it a gradual thing, or how did you come to do what you're doing now?
Yeah, well, so I guess there's two converging timelines here. But first of all, I'd been doing a lot of child advocacy online and kind of exploring online dangers to kids. And that kind of led me to this realization that mass shootings were an online danger to kids. Like, some of these kids were being indoctrinated, and some of them were young, and they were in Discord servers, and what's going on, and how are these parents not aware that their kids were in these places radicalizing, right? So then after that, I think that the biggest one for me was the Buffalo shooting, the shooting at the Tops grocery store in Buffalo, New York. This was his name was Peyton Gendron. He had a GoPro. He live streamed himself shooting black shoppers at a black grocery store, but like a grocery store where there were predominantly black people.
Right.
And in fact, he aimed the gun at a white person and saw they were white, and then moved on and shot other people. So this guy was very clearly targeting black people.
But do you know, I don't mean to cut you off, but I feel like if I don't, I'm going to forget this. I heard that in that grocery store, the security guard was a black guy also, but he was someone who created a car that ran off water or something.
Water-powered car conspiracy.
Yes.
It's a good one. That's a great one. Yeah, that's one of those things where it is true. Yeah. It's one of those things where you see it and you're like, why? What the hell? Like, why?
And do you think maybe that was all about that, or do you think that was a happy accident? Or
I think it was a happy accident. Yeah.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I can't figure
Dude, there's
out
so much.
how.
There's so much
I
drama
know.
with these things.
I'm so schizo. I know. It's like,
No.
why? I get it.
No, not you. That
No.
Sandy Hook, all of that.
All of
like,
these.
it's all...
There's so much drama surrounding this. There's so many actors in the media play after.
The
There's
people
so
in
many,
Sandy Hook
You know
who
what,
had their
though?
houses paid off, the people who won
That's
the
what I'm
lottery
saying, like,
magically
I'm
with the
not. I
same
don't know.
last
Now I don't
name.
know
Like,
about Sandy Hook. Like now, that's
okay.
not my. That's not my.
That's their
I'm shutting
forte.
that
There's
down.
another.
I
Now,
saw
if
what
you wanna
happened
go
to
talk
Alex
to-
Jones. I'm shutting that down.
You want to go talk to Jolien McVeigh on Twitter. You probably follow. He's
Oh, I'm sure.
the leading expert on Sandy Hook stuff.
Okay.
But so Peyton Gendron, though, he was one of the first accelerationist radicalized shooters that there were. Completely different than Sandy Hook. I mean, honestly, this is just completely different.
Okay.
One of the things that I noticed right off the bat was that he had a Discord diary, and the Discord diary referenced a person named Saint Sandman, who had basically given him advice on what kind of guns and gear to buy. He had given him like motivational speeches, like, "Are you happy with your life? Do you want to secure a future for white children? If so, you need to truck on and be a martyr," and this real targeted rhetoric, right?
Yeah.
And so, and the other thing about Gendron is that his family was white, upper middle class, suburban engineers. Like, they had other kids and everything was honestly pretty normal in their lives. Gendron was a hypochondriac. When COVID started, he locked himself in his room and basically just would not come out because he was very afraid of catching the virus. And so I think that contributed heavily to his radicalization, because he was in his room on the computer all the time, going on 4chan. And anyways, I started kind of getting obsessed with, like, who was Sandman? Okay, who is this guy, right? Who is this person? And if we can figure out who the person is who's in this guy's ear, maybe we can prove to people that these guys are more than just lone wolf self-radicalized shooters, but they're being groomed. They're being groomed by somebody who wants to use them as a proxy soldier against the United States. It's a terror attack. And so when I tried to say this 2 years ago.
So before we move on, sorry, I want people to know what you're saying is, yes, these shooters are being groomed, but it could possibly be somebody besides the FBI or whoever we think is already grooming them to do this. Because that's kind of the generalization that we get, is because, I mean, we've heard they've been on the FBI radar. We've heard the FBI has talked to some of these shooters online. And so that's where I'm at and assume it. But it is possible that it's from another outside influence also. And I know that's the accelerationism that you've talked about. And I wanted to bring that up, so I'm very glad you're talking about it. Because I want to know where it leads back to.
That's very correct. And I still get a lot of pushback. In fact, ever since I've started to, like, again, I'm completely independent. Like, I'm not paid by the media or anybody. This is just what I have seen with my eyes. And I started thinking, like, it's got to be the Fed. Sandman's got to be a Fed, right?
Yeah.
Now when I try to tell people what I actually found, now they're like, "You're a Fed." And I'm like, okay. I don't know.
I love being called the Fed.
You
I'm
got
like,
me.
you have no clue.
I'm like
man.
the most ineffective Fed of all time. Okay. Like, I'm literally just a retarded, like, middle-aged mom online, with no audience, but okay. So yeah, like, I basically found, though, that Sandman, I mean, I know I found Sandman. I found who I think it is. And back 2 years ago, when I would try to say all of these things that I'm telling you now, people were like, "She's a schizophrenic, mass report her off YouTube. She's crazy. She's Alex Jones level conspiracy theory." And it was hard. It was really hard to pursue this 2 years ago. Now, what's interesting is how quickly I've been vindicated on everything, because over just the course of the past few months, now the DOJ is saying, "Hey, remember that shooting 2 years ago? Yeah, we have been questioning the guy who sold him the gun. We've arrested this guy. We've arrested that guy. We're making arrests. Like, guys, you have to give us time, because we're ineffective." Okay, and we're the Feds. The Feds are ineffective. They take a long fucking time.
You don't say. Anything the government does. It's
a long time to build these cases. But at the same time, yes, they turn very slowly. But at the same time, what I found was that, and then last month we had the arrest of these two people from Terrorgram, which is a Telegram-based grooming network, where they were doing these same things, saying, "Hey guys, go commit mass shootings and become martyrs, and we'll put you on a little calendar. We have this cheesy calendar of every month." Every day that someone commits a shooting, we'll put you on the calendar and you'll be a martyr and everyone will remember you. You'll be a saint.
Is it like
They
a
started calling
fireman's
them
calendar?
saints.
They have them on
It's
there.
so
all...
stupid.
I think they're that sounds fed to me. That just sounds fed.
They're not though. In fact,
Proud-
one of the women who was arrested we've been tracking her, and people have been tracking her for like 2 years. Her name is Dallas Humber, and it's a woman. And she has a long history of being a meth addict and like dating a guy who was convicted of child pornography and just crazy shit. And then all of us, somehow she becomes the mastermind of this terrorism ring where she's trying to groom people to commit these shootings. Is she getting paid from somebody? Possibly. I don't think it's the feds though, because they just arrested her and charged her.
Well, the only reason why I say that is
stuff.
because I don't know if you've ever been to the Patriot Front Telegram, but it sounds very reminiscent
in there.
of. Yeah, and like
No.
not as hardcore,
Yeah,
but the same kind of approaches and these you know what I mean, pre-programmed responses and like
are
I
they
don't know.
really goading people to commit shootings though?
No, not that.
Yeah.
Probably
but,
not
I mean,
in the
they're
public
trying
group,
to get everybody
but-
amped up and go
Yeah.
out there and you know what I mean, and put on the show and try to basically make white America look like we're pissed off
One
and we
thing that
want to burn it down.
I have found for sure is that all of these groups have undercover FBI agents in them.
Got to.
All
Yeah.
of them.
Got to.
Absolutely.
And that's not to say that the whole thing is feds, but there's
Right.
absolutely feds in there. Oh yeah.
But they know
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
going
yeah.
on, and they're letting
Yeah,
it
they
happen
do.
and letting
But
it grow.
the thing is,
and-
listen, when you say that though, let me stop you there, okay? Because
Mhm.
when you say like they're letting it grow, they're letting it. That's because a lot of those people are just normal people, and they have the right to do that in America. You have freedom of
True.
speech. It's actually a
Right,
pretty
good point.
high bar. And so what I've
Good point.
noticed, one thing I've noticed, because again, it goes back to distance where people go, well, why didn't they stop them before they committed that shooting? Because honestly, going on to Telegram and saying, kill all XYZ,
Mhm.
that's your free speech. It's your free speech to advocate for genocide of minorities. Honestly, you cannot stop somebody from doing that in America. Now, if they say, I'm going to go kill XYZ on this date
Right.
using
Yeah.
the candlestick of the conservatory, then
I
you
get
can
you.
actually do something about it.
Makes
That's
sense.
an
Actually,
illegal threat.
I will say thank you for that, because you just changed my mind on the subject in real time right here. Because no, seriously, because I always thought like that, like why the fuck didn't the FBI do anything? But you're right, because if the FBI did do something, I would probably be like, why the fuck did they step in?
Yeah.
That's his right. So you're right. You
Exactly.
literally just changed my mind on a subject. I'm serious. Thank you.
I mean, they do the same thing with, it's the same thing I can say with on the FBI's radar, right? So
Yeah.
I'm in the unique camp of having, so I'll tell you guys a story. Like, so I've been investigating all of these radicalization pipelines and I've been trying to find who the hell is Sandman? Who is this person? Why aren't we arresting these groomers, right? Because these people are preying on kids, LGBT kids. Oh yeah, they're preying on that trans kid in that Discord server.
Mhm.
That's an easy person to push over the edge, right? I wonder
Yes,
who people
yes,
are
it is.
because they're child predators, in my opinion.
Yep.
And what I found was that the feds are not the feds necessarily, but there's also people who are like threat assessors and people who are NGOs, people like maybe like me who got drafted by an NGO, and they're tasked to go sit in this Discord and watch if you see somebody make an illegal threat, escalating it to like the feds so that they can actually stop a mass shooting. So one thing that I saw one time, I was in the incel Twitter page and I saw a guy he was tweeting like crazy, and I clicked on his profile. 200 tweets in a 24-hour period talking about how he was about to go brutally murder his ex-girlfriend and commit an attack on her college
Holy
campus.
shit.
And he was posting pictures of this pretty redheaded girl, looked like maybe 19 years old. I'm going to kill her with a knife and then kill myself. And time to rock this campus. I'm going to go do it right now. I'm on my way. So that one, I was like, okay, I had to find a number to call. Is there a number I can call? Because this is serious. I actually ended up stumbling upon the number for the Fusion Center, which is like what connects Texas, like, if you have Florida or whatever state you're in, if you have law enforcement, it connects them to the FBI so citizens can call. So I called
Wow,
this number and I gave them all, I archived all of his tweets. I sent it all over. Well, the next morning, I get a call from the FBI in Alabama, and they said, "Hey, were you so and so? Did you make this tip last night?" And I said, "Yes." They said, "Okay, well, we arrested this guy. He's gone. We got his victim to safety. We need you to send us the evidence again." And I said, "Holy shit! You guys, 12 hours. You guys found this dude on Twitter, arrested him." And now he's actually still he was denied bail, and I think that his trial is next month. His name's Kenneth Hoover.
Wow.
He was 26.
Wow.
And yeah, so he was about to go do a terrorism. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I was able to see this happen and go, wow. And you know what they told me? The reason we were able to find him so fast is because he was already on our radar, because we'd already knew who this guy was. He got complaints. His ex-girlfriend had complained. We had him on a radar. Therefore, we found him really quickly. And then I started to go, well, shit. The FBI just kind of stopped that, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
You're,
kind of like,
you're making
my theories my conspiracies are falling apart in front of me.
You're making very good points. And I
So
appreciate
then-
this. I love having my beliefs challenged. So thank you for this. Keep going.
So then I started to understand, as I did more of this work and started to see more of these people in the space who are threat assessors or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the Georgia shooting, the school shooting in Georgia, was a perfect example of this. And they were very open about exactly what had happened. They said that the kid was making mass shooting threats online. They did like an electronic data request to Discord. They got the IP address. They went and visited the house. That they didn't live there anymore. The guy told them who used to live there. They went and found him. Right.
Okay.
The FBI does this because it's an online thing. They found the dad and they talked to the dad, and the kid was 13 and he denied, "Oh, that wasn't me, officer. I didn't do any of those things." Right. So the FBI says, "Okay, well, it's very hard to prove like who's making threats online." So they go, "Okay, well, do you have any guns in the house? Like, does the kid have access to guns?" The dad said no. They weren't convinced, and so they said that they deferred to the kid's school for guidance and monitoring, like, hey, watch this kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind, the FBI has no jurisdiction over this anymore, right? There's no arrest that can be made. The kid denies doing it. Yeah, we think he did it, but this is a state matter. The kid's threatening his local school. We need to give this to the state, and they need to give it to the community framework to kind of try to figure out what to do with this kid. The FBI can't do anything. Yeah, he was on the FBI's radar, but they can't do anything. You don't want them to be able to have that much jurisdiction over states matters anyways, right?
Right.
So then when he goes and commits a shooting, he was on our radar. Well, yeah, because he was all over the place with red flags, but there's only so much they can do, especially for a youth like that. So what I push back on here is when I started to do research into these NGOs, these threat assessment framework communities, and they all basically, it's not the FBI, it's Homeland Security. Homeland Security has a grant program called the TVTP grant program, where they're supposed to fund these community framework building initiatives where they go, okay, this state is going to get better training on how to assess threats, how to provide guidance and community resources to kids just like this. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what those things are for. But unfortunately, that grant has been super corrupted, and now they just basically give the money to DEI initiatives on Twitch and dumb shit.
Oh my gosh.
So I could go on and on about that, but what I'm trying to say is the failure is actually at the local level, and the federal government's supposed to be providing resources to the states to help us build frameworks to catch kids like this, but they don't. So it's not surprising that these kids are on the FBI's radar. But then again, it's they can't do anything. They couldn't make an arrest. What are they going to do?
But it seems like it's just a constant thing. It's over and over again. There is this barrier between federal and local, right? And there's a ball drop there every time. I was 2 miles away from the Parkland shooting when it happened. You know?
Wow. We
and
both were. We were there together.
In Florida, Nicholas
yes.
Cruz?
Yeah.
Yes,
and
we were literally driving on the Sawgrass Expressway that overlooks the Parkland School, but we're right around the corner. And a customer at our work that we did, the parents, that was one of the families of one
They
of the
lost a
people who
child.
lost their
That's
child
terrifying. That's awful.
while we were at their house working. So
It's
So like I'm a mom, right? I have a kid who's in elementary school, and like this kind of, I think that's one of the reasons I got so into this. Is that same year that Peyton Gendron did the top shooting was the Uvalde shooting.
yeah,
okay.
And
Which was
to me, like, right, and to me, like my kid was going into kindergarten that year, so it was like, man, that really struck a nerve. So I really kind of just dug my heels in, and in July of that year, that's when the Highland Park shooting happened. And then that took all of my brain power for at least a year. We investigated. And to the point that like now I have contact with his family, and like I got way too close to that. I wouldn't do that again. Like I got way too close. Like it's way too close. I'm very interested to see what happens in February, see if I can swing paying to go to the trial for however long it takes. But so that's kind of where I started, and where I ended up is like, wow, this is a lot more nuanced than just the FBI's doing everything, right? I think that there's a lot of actual bad actors out there. And I would talk about this guy Butcher. If you watch my docuseries, this is part 3 of my docuseries. We talk about the maniac murder cult in Ukraine. Now this guy Butcher was in Moldova, in Georgia, and he was basically trying to solicit terror attacks against the U.S. by proxy from overseas. This guy wasn't a Fed. He was like this crazy guy in Ukraine, right? Or Georgia or whatever. And so then I start thinking, well, yeah, like some of these provocateurs are foreign actors. And you think about it, like anybody who has an interest in seeing the US collapse or fall would be chomping at the bit to jump on this radicalization train and try to brainwash MK Ultra people to go commit terror attacks against us. It's a brilliant strategy for ISIS, for China, and any of our enemies.
It doesn't even take MK Ultra anymore. It just takes repetitive shit on the news, and people are like, "Yes, this is great. Let's do this."
It's just weird thing for fame, right?
Let's let
the whole quest for fame has changed. The veil has been lifted. Now anybody can be online and be famous for doing something stupid, right? And now
you have these whole echo chamber communities telling them that they're going to be a saint and a martyr and remembered forever, and the more people they kill, the better. And
shit, it could be bots. It could be bots telling them that. You don't even know anymore. You know what I mean? Like that's where
I think that's a reality.
When we say feds, maybe we should generalize it a little more, like federal, like. You know what I mean? All these
something coming from
not
a government
FBI
somewhere.
guys, but this government level,
any government,
foreign government.
There you go. There you go. That's
Kitty, my cat just like, hold on. Are you guys there? Okay. Kitty,
I have 4 cats. I totally understand. And actually, we had a good thing in an episode where I had a cat run behind me, and then our guests had a cat run behind them, like right after, and it was like, so
you would think that I would just learn to like leave her out of the room, but no.
I think I have one of them in here also. Don't worry about it. That's cool.
Just the other day, my daughter's school had a scare too. And it's like, at what point do our tax dollars and all this stuff that we're putting in, when is it going to show for the safety of our kids? You know what I mean? Like at what point does it start making any kind of sense? Because I'm over it, man. And everybody's like, well, that's why you should homeschool. Oh, okay. Let me quit working and do all these other things that I know. Like, it's like you guys are just, that's great. If you could do it, that's fine. I can't.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And awesome, but
also I don't want to. There's also that.
I love the honesty. Thank you.
Need a little break here and there, but it's like, dude, but seriously, man, like what the hell, dude? We're spending all these tax dollars. All this work goes into all this, right? And what about the lottery, right? Like even in the state of Florida, all this lottery money, right, is supposed to go to these schools, and where does it go? Like we're
Because
even
you're
we're
still
even
having to buy a ton of shit,
right.
right?
We gotta still buy them freaking books and shit, or pencils.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and we can't get metal detectors or something like that. Oh well, we don't want the kids to feel like they're in prison. No, I want my kid to feel safe. I want
Right.
the dude that's gonna shoot
What's
my
the
kid to be in
problem of
prison.
how hard is it to put a metal detector in there, really?
That's
Like,
what I'm
I
saying.
know.
Or up
you
the
know,
police presence. You
I
know,
mean, in Texas, we've, they've upped the requirements for schools to have resource officers and stuff, which
right.
I think is great.
Yeah, there
Then
should be at
again,
least
they
two.
also didn't provide enough funding for them to actually do that. So it was kind of like, you have to have resource officers, and not some of the poorer districts are like, well,
Yeah.
we have to cut PE now, like, because they didn't provide enough funding. So
They're
it's not
doing it
like
I
they
would
anyway.
go as far as to say if they had good people working for them, they would find a security company that would supply those metal detectors for free for the publicity to say this company loves America and
Right,
provided these metal
sponsorship.
detectors. It's so simple. You
Yeah.
could do that. I
Ted's
guarantee you
on
I
it.
could set it up in 2 days.
Ted's on it, dude. They get local sponsors to
And
sponsor the
I
football
don't even
team.
have any kids. I just think that's
Yeah.
obviously the future. Like, if you're not thinking about the kids, you just need to just
Well,
be
let's
done.
talk about. So I put in chat here a Substack article.
Oh, I
It's,
just saw that. You want
I
me to
should
pull it up?
probably rename it, but because it's about. So the way I found this was by investigating the incel community, and what I found was a grant by an NGO called Diverting Hate, which is basically, again, this is that Targeted Violence and Terrorism Prevention Grant, TVTP grant from DHS. They're supposed to be paying local police departments and local communities and local schools to build up frameworks in order to get risk assessments, threat assessors, guidance counselors, basically, like, how do we communicate with the FBI? If the FBI comes and says, hey, this kid was making school shooting threats, but we can't do anything about him, how do we keep that kid from going and shooting a school because the FBI can't, right?
Okay.
Can you guys see this right now? Because
Yeah,
the only
we're
way I
seeing
can because the only
you
way I
can-
can share it is it's
That's
in the
fine.
same window as StreamYard. So I can't see
And
you
can say
guys, but
continue reading. You don't have to pay for this or anything. Just go to continue reading. But it's a long article, okay? But it completely breaks down this TVTP grant program and how it's actually being used. This Diverting Hate program was actually taking this money that's supposed to go towards these programs to prevent school shootings, right?
Right.
And putting it towards censoring people like Rollo Tomasi, who's like this like OG boomerish like manosphere guy who really is not totally non-problematic, right?
Oh,
And people like him. And they were basically running these programs to censor them on YouTube and Twitter because they could cause radicalization somewhere down the line. So they were using a censorship. They were basically using this grant money that you pay for, you and I pay for, to censor people. And then I found also that they were using the same program to run DEI initiatives on Twitch, for example. There was this, the Gamergate 2, where they were talking about Sweet Baby Inc. or whatever. Part of that was funded by DHS. They were funding basically like, hey, you know what? If we have more Black characters in video games, there'll be less racial violence, of course. For somehow, yeah, that'll work. Like, doesn't make any sense, right? But DEI pushes, oh yeah, that'll prevent hate.
Dude,
That doesn't make any sense.
Just
So that's what they're spending all this
Clown
money
world.
on. Yeah, censorship initiatives, DEI initiatives, politically motivated stuff. They're not putting the money towards building those frameworks to prevent what happened in Georgia, for example. And that's what that money is supposed to be used for, is preventing terrorism. They're not using anything to prevent accelerationist violence. They're using it for this crap. Like feminists making an NGO and then censoring Rollo Tomasi. Good job. That'll teach
There's
them.
no
That'll
That's a
teach
lot
them.
of info. I'm gonna make
It's
a
a
clip
lot
of
of
this and
info.
put pause to read.
It's a
No,
really
that's
long-
good. That's a compliment, not an insult. Like, that's good.
Yeah, so if you go to this, like if you see that, I'll go to that screenshot there. Okay. So like this is an NGO called the ISCVE, and it's run by a woman named Ann Speckert. And she made $300,000 in 1 year off of this grant program, right? She makes a YouTube channel that basically has, oh, Nazi girl, my white heritage. Yeah, I'm going to click on that because I'm a Nazi. And then when you click on it, it's like this girl saying, I used to be a Nazi, but now I love everybody and you should too.
God.
How many people click on this and go, you know what? She changed my mind. I'm not a Nazi anymore. Like, you know, white pride is empowering. Like, you see this? Your tax dollars paid for this YouTube channel right here. And it has 170 views. So it's like, no one's even seeing it.
Jeez.
It's so
We'll
cringe.
go through some of the rest of this real quick just so it's in the clip. I mean, I don't know how long it is. God, I can't go
It's
through
really
all
long,
this.
sorry. No,
just
you
go
can't.
there.
No, don't pause. This is awesome.
It's not. It's not a bad thing. It's a very good thing because some people just say something and then have no backing for it.
I mean, I've done that was a culmination of like over a year of research into that grant program specifically and all the problems that you know, they're using this money to censor and suppress people whose political opinions they don't like. Basically, I've pushed and I've talked to Rollo Tomasi since then too. We've been pretty closely knit since I brought this to light, because I'm telling him he should sue the government. He should sue the Biden administration for infringing on his First Amendment right. Like if you're being censored by a government-funded NGO under a government-funded grant program, then that's an infringement of your First Amendment right. And that's not Twitter doing it. DHS is doing it, right?
Right, exactly. Big difference.
It doesn't matter if they're doing it themselves or doing it through an NGO. And so they've had some success suing the Biden administration in the past for things like this. And so there's a precedent for that. So I asked, so Rollo's kind of looking into his options there. But, you know, the point is like, you know, this money that we're spending is $10 to $20 million a year that they put into this program.
Oh my gosh, man.
That's supposed to go towards, you know, building frameworks to prevent school shootings. But instead, they're just like, they're taking it so far down up the slippery slope. Oh, well, you know how they started to be an incel. Well, maybe they listened to this guy or Andrew Tate or something, and you know, and then he radicalized them, but they're completely ignoring the immediate radicalization factor, right? These like terrorists that are
for people who don't know, because I'm sure some people don't know. Tell them what incel means.
Yeah, incel is an involuntarily celibate. It's a man who cannot find a romantic partner despite trying.
Yes,
that's the definition.
I felt that was important for people to know if they did not know, because that says a lot about it.
Yeah.
It just,
I mean, in the same way that, like, you know, neo-Nazi kids who are on 4chan all the time listening to neo-Nazi rhetoric are getting radicalized. Sexless young men who are having a hard time finding a girlfriend and are lonely and sexually frustrated are being radicalized in the same exact way. And they're also being used to commit acts of violence.
So sick. It's just such a sick thing. Like, okay,
really
so I know
sick.
you only have an hour and I want to respect that. So we got like 9 minutes left. I feel like we have to talk about real quick.
No worries.
Where you have helped bring down some pedophiles, and I want to talk about No Lives Matter. So
yeah, I have a little bit of time.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, so
hold on. Be honest.
Yeah.
You said you only have an hour just in case it was real weird and you wanted to dip out, right? That was like
No,
the
no.
phone call on a blind date. You were like, hey, call me 30 minutes into the date just in case it's real weird. I want to leave.
It's like, hello? Oh, yeah. I gotta go.
Oh my God, what?
Internet
Grandma?
connection is
I got
completely
3
gone.
pedos to take out right now.
I've actually
Whichever one you want
only
to
had that
tackle
happen
first.
one time. I've had that only happen one time where I basically had to fake an internet connection to get out. That was a long time ago, though. Yeah. Now I
So
bet a
either
little bit better.
No Lives Matter or the pedophiles you helped bring down first, whichever, because respect on all of this. Like,
Yeah, so going back to we were talking about the Order of Nine Angles satanic neo-Nazi cult, and the insight roles where they basically infiltrate various communities and try to gear them towards sinister actions. In my opinion, 764, it was kind of so there's a bigger community called CALM, which is this network of cyber criminals for whatever capacity. There's like people who do hacking, swatting, doxing. Two of the people who were arrested recently were actually the ones who were responsible for swatting Tim Pool. So, and they were connected to the same network. So there's a very big network. You know, you've got swatting, doxing, cybercrime, hacking, and then you've got extortion comm. So the people who were doing the extortion, you know, a lot of them were basically getting sextortion, like getting nude photos from people and saying, you know, I'm going to send this to all of your classmates. If you don't, send us more or send us money or whatever.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, the Order of Nine Angles stuff started to seed into that and spun off this group called 764, which is a more of a satanic aspect and more focused on child sexual abuse, not only sexual abuse, but also, extreme violence. They want people to kill their cats on video. They want them to cut themselves on video. They want them to kill themselves on video, and they target young, vulnerable people. And so, what you end up seeing are videos of you know, kids carving their abusers' names into their bodies, killing their cats, drawing satanic imagery on their walls in blood.
Jeez.
The worst stuff. It's worse than anything else you can imagine. It's the worst thing you can imagine. So once I saw this, I was like, well, we got to do something about that. You know, anything we can do about this.
Yeah.
So I guess I was kind of, I already kind of knew that this group existed, but I hadn't had a very good like glimpse into it until that Kyle Spitz story happened, which was like, there was this video, a viral video of this kid who got shot by his stepdad in the ear. It's a really weird video, but for some reason it was circulating around and everybody was seeing it. It had millions of views. When I found out that he was, it was weird because it was just like a weird video. There was a lot happening. Like his mom ran in the room with her pants down. Like it was just like a bit chaotic, right? It was funny. It was like a bunch of meth addicts shooting. But when I found out that was actually 764, then I was starting to listen a little bit more. I got sent a bunch of evidence by some people who were victims, and I ended up putting out like a story about it and being the first to break that story. And then I started to get threats from Kyle Spitz's friends saying, stop reporting or we're going to come and find you and shoot up your house and we're going to kill you and rape you in front of your family and all this shit.
Wow.
So I basically went on like a little, oh, really? You know, like a little mom tear.
I was just going to ask how you handled it, but you just went right.
Well, I mean, I called the
badass.
police. You know, I called the police and I made a police report, you know.
Okay.
And the police eventually, well, you know, it turned out the guy who was doing the most of the threats against me was in the UK. He was arrested. His name's Cameron Finnegan. He was also part of NLM, the No Lives Matter movement, which is like a subgroup of 764 that's a little bit less focused on sexual abuse and more focused on terrorism activities, mass shootings, stabbings, arson, and petty crime.
I'm going to be honest. It's rare that we have someone on who tells me something that I've never heard of. And I honestly had no clue. I'm going to be honest. I just assumed all these people were government perpetuated, run, or in some way.
False
I didn't know,
flags.
and that's on me.
Keep
that was
talking,
stupid of me.
Right. I cut my finger earlier, and then my band-aid fell off. So I'm just gonna get like a tissue, but I can still hear you.
Oh, okay.
I was just gonna say, like, I always assumed it was just government run and all that, but that's on me because I should have assumed that if the government's doing something, someone else is doing it better and for way cheaper. Because the government sucks at everything.
The government sucks.
Yeah,
they're not very good at it. And in this process too of you know, there's been I apparently according to an article that came out recently by people who know more than me, there's been 30 arrests so far in this network over the last year or so. So when my experience, so my experience with dealing with Kyle Spitz thing was that when I got threatened by his friends, I called the police and was like, hey, there's a crazy person online that's making very credible threats to me, right? We're not talking about, I'm gonna kill you, bitch. We're talking about like really specific. And
detailed.
I know that this group is a terrorist group. This is a terrorism thing. So it's like akin to being threatened by ISIS, right? You're not just getting like a random threat. So when I talked to the police, they asked me to come in. So I came into I went down to my local police department, and the FBI were there waiting for me. And I was like, oh, shit. Yikes. Like, I did not see that coming, you know?
Wow.
Whoa, okay. And so they were, you know, getting information that I had about the person who was threatening me and all of this stuff. And like the impression that I got after talking to these guys, like these are people from my hometown. The FBI agents, they live in my hometown. Like they're normal people who want to make these arrests. They want to get these guys taken away. Kitty, you know what? Yeah, that's my camera. Yeah, they want these guys gone as much as you and I do, right? You can just tell by
the local, I believe.
Are we really going to just go back and forth across the camera? Yeah. Okay. Let's come out over here.
So while the kitty's interrupting, I just want to ask you real quick, and please do not take this wrong. If it was just you and I having this conversation, I would never say this, but because I feel we have a responsibility to our listeners, and now you have defended the FBI twice and the police, I just want to make sure to ask, and I agree with everything you've said. Don't take this wrong. I agree. I just want to know, and people will ask, and trolls will talk. Do you have any affiliation with any government agency in any way?
No, I don't. I do not.
Thank you.
I mean, aside from what I just told you openly. No. I mean, I told you openly. Like, what
I agree. I agree with everything you said, and we get this.
Oh no,
all
people
the time
do that all
because,
the time to me.
Okay, thank you. Because people are like, "Why didn't you ask?" I bet blah blah blah, and I'm like,
right now, okay. You're like, actually, we give them the timestamp.
I'm the CIA.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
No.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Now I gotta clip that.
You know, we weren't specific enough, so.
Yeah. No. I mean, yeah, like that's the one experience I had with them was like, well, my life, I was a victim. So in fact, I was offered victim assistance, like, because I was terrified. And like at the time that this happened, I didn't really know, is this serious? Are these guys in my town? Can they hack me? Are they really going to come and kill me? Like, how serious are these people? Now, all these months later, now I know that like, oh, it was just some 18-year-old punk in the UK with no means to actually come here and kill me. But at the time, I was very like, what is going on? Am I safe? And I have a child, and like it was very scary. And I was offered like victim assistance, right? Like, I mean, I was offered like, you know, housing and stuff to like for protection. I mean, I was basically under protection for a while.
Now, that same government would then turn around and write an article about you were helped out because you were white. Now, if you were black, you see, I mean, this is where I have a problem. It's right. Like, so like, why did they work so hard with yours and then not so hard with others? You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think it had to do specifically with the fact that the people who were who I was talking to were part of a task force against this specific group. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, again,
so you knew exactly where to go. You knew exactly where to go.
Right. So this group wasn't like some street gang or something. Like this is a national like security level. And I didn't know this at the time. I was like, my brain was freaking spinning, like, but you know, the reason is because they have specific resources allocated to the 764 network, and this group in particular is considered a very serious threat. So this was like I said, it's like getting threatened by ISIS.
Right.
Yeah. Like, it's not the same as like, oh, my ex-husband is crazy. Like, they could send you to the domestic, like the women's shelter or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
But this was a little bit different because I was really upset and I was freaking out. And because I handed them all the information I had about this kid Acid and stuff, you know, because we had been up all night. Like, I'm going to find this kid, you know?
Please don't think that by me asking that, I think that. I'm just asking it because people will say,
don't care.
Because
awesome. It's cool if people think I'm a Fed or whatever. That's awesome.
Like,
actually,
that's the mystique.
There's a lot of things that we do that aren't serious. Like,
yeah, you know, if I were a Fed, I would hope to be getting paid or something. Like, and then I wouldn't have to like.
God,
I gotta tell you,
make ends meet. But
I gotta
tell you, nice.
a quarter of that salary to do all the Fed work that I do, right? On X.
Right. We used to joke around about it on my stream and stuff when I would do these investigations live on Twitch, you know, and I'd be like, man, I bet that there's just FBI agents just like sitting in my chat, like, interesting. Like,
Right.
you know, just taking my work and stuff, like watching my Twitter and being like, you know, so maybe,
Taking
but
notes.
you know, no, I don't have any affiliation. I'm not working for any
no,
government.
I didn't
I don't get
assume.
I don't get paid for this at all. You can subscribe to my Substack and I'd really appreciate it. I actually
Awesome.
put a lot of work into my Substack and that's one place where you
Clearly
can support
could
me.
see that.
Yeah,
And
we
thank
don't
you
make
for
any
sharing.
money from this either. People are always like, "Your paid chills." I'm like, "Where's the payment? Damn it! I want."
They do that because you get like a $5 super chat, like, you know, every show.
Not
like,
we don't even have that.
We
We
don't
don't
even
even
have
have that. We're
We just
shitty.
want
They try to say we buy followers. We don't
right.
do any
Yeah,
of
they're
that.
they're
just
reaching.
like,
Trust me, we get the reaches. You know,
I mean,
like,
my Twitter, you know, like I think that my Twitter payouts are like $50 or something.
yeah,
So I'm
that's
like,
not
yeah, I
bad.
make $100 a
know.
month doing this. Like,
and let's
you know,
let's
who
just
would do
make it
that?
clear that her Twitter payments are $25 and you have what, like 30,000 followers like that.
It's crazy low.
They're
Yeah.
about the same as mine, and I have almost 80,000 because of
Yeah,
what I
it's low.
post. Everything
Me
gets
too.
fucking shut down. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Mine
know you
too.
get shut
You
down.
know, especially when you talk about pedophiles and satanic pedophile networks.
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
pretty-
yeah,
that's
that
something
too.
people
How
don't really
about
like.
the bringing down satanic pedophiles in a sundress? We got to talk about this. The pedophiles you have helped bring down, because
those
that's
guys that I was just talking about were the
Yeah.
satanic pedophiles. You know, Acid,
Okay.
the Cameron Finnegan from the UK,
Oh,
Kyle
okay.
Spitz.
Oh, okay.
Those guys were part of the 764 network, which are the satanic
Jeez.
pedophiles. You know, now there's been at least, I mean, you know, 10 or 15 more, and a lot of them I've talked about online. And the NLM is still pretty linked to O9A, and say it's actually quite very much linked to O9A. I'm not, there's a lot of people trying to fight me on this. In fact, I have Satanists. I have like Order of Nine Angles guys in my DMs trying to like lead me around by the nose and convince me that they're not involved, because like even the terrorists don't want to be associated with this crap.
Wow.
Like they're like, we don't want to be associated with 764. It's like, yeah, one of our guys did do this, but like we don't want to be associated with it. It's too awful, you know.
He was
But yeah, I mean, I talk to them. I'm a journalist, right? So whenever one of these terrorists contact me, I talk to them and I learn things from them. And sometimes they lie to me, but
No.
never.
Rufus, did you have a question for her? You've been so quiet.
Oh, I've just been chilling, man.
I
I've been
know.
absorbing everything.
Yeah,
and,
she got a
a
lot of
lot
info,
of
man.
info.
It's awesome, though.
It is. This is
It's
heavy
awesome.
stuff. My
I'm gonna
question
dive
is,
into
do
that.
you have like your own dedicated security team now that you've had all these
Yeah.
threats coming towards you? I mean,
She's
that's
like
right
her
here.
trigger finger.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Certified badass.
It's so good.
Yeah, nope. I don't have a security team, but I do have 360 cameras and I'm a hell of a shot.
Okay.
So,
You all heard
Stay
that.
away from that.
and you know, I
There
would
you
say
go.
number one is like I have a lot of people who tell me like I want to help, and or sometimes they say, oh well, I've already been looking around and talking to people, and I found this and this, and I'm like, dude, be careful, because like these guys are seriously like they will, if you have any kind of most like 99% of people out there, you can find who they are and where they live right now.
Yeah.
And unless you're that 1% that's actually careful enough to keep your identity hidden and keep your address hidden, you're gonna get doxxed, you're gonna get swatted, they're gonna call the fucking SWAT team on you, they're gonna make your life hell. So really, you know, the number one line of defense is just OPSEC.
OPSEC.
Yeah, just operational security, making sure
Correct.
that you're not
Correct.
easy to dox.
Yeah. It just seems like no matter what, they get just as good at it as you do now, you know, and there's always,
Yeah, it's always
somebody.
a
Well, I
battle
mean, I
back
can't
and forth.
dox some people. I mean, I
Right.
can't find, and when I have a team who's very good at open source intelligence stuff, and even we try to locate these little shits as often as we can, you know.
Right.
And like, while I don't work for the government or anything like that, when I find child sexual abuse material, I do file cyber tips and I do file police reports
Excellent.
quite often. Which I would hope anybody would. That's not, you can call me a
Right.
fed if you want, but if I see a kid being
No.
exploited online, I'm going to report it to the feds.
Oh,
like,
you better.
um,
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Anybody,
Thank
you
you.
hear that, people?
So if that makes me a fed, then I guess I am one.
Fed.
No. Yeah, but that's basically how we've been getting these guys, is trying to find out who they are and then submitting tips, usually either through the cyber tip, FBI cyber tip line, or through National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which is a good resource as well. If you ever stumble across this stuff, you can actually call Nick Mick and talk to a live person there. They're very, very helpful. And that they do what they do because they actually care, because they're not getting paid shit.
Oh yeah.
And they see the worst
Sure.
of the worst. So
It's just like Ted said, this is quite refreshing to hear that there are people in the government doing their job. We hear
Yes.
so much of the people that don't, and everything that falls through the cracks and all that. So maybe there is hope. The more involved we are, I mean, where do we go with this? How do we get the gears of the government moving smoother and quicker and all that? Can we help?
I
Is
mean,
there
I
things that
think we
can do?
keep, I think we keep talking about this and advocating. Like what I've said is, like, the people who I've met who were working on this, like whenever I talked to people about my threats that I was getting and who were helping me, seemed very sincere. Like they wanted to stop these guys. And then like just a couple weeks later, they arrested both of them. And so, there are people out there, and like, they're your community members. They go to your church, you know what I mean? Like they actually, the rank and file guys want to stop them, but they don't get enough funding. They don't get enough resources. And so I think that what we should be advocating for is more resources towards these child crime units, trafficking, exploitation units, and less resources towards whatever the fuck else they're doing over there, like arresting grannies who are at the Capitol. Taking pictures,
and
we don't need
auditing the top also. Supporting the local level and audit the top for sure.
Yeah, I would also say one thing I advocate for is auditing or transparency and oversight over confidential informants, because I've noticed that there's like a lot of situations where like it seems like some of these groups, there's too many informants and they're not, what are they doing? Things are just getting worse. They're not getting better. So can we get like some oversight and some auditing into this,
not
this
only
program,
that, but
and is it working?
They get more money and stuff when they bring information. So they're trying to push off information, even if they don't know for sure that it's true or not. So,
or create a problem, find a solution, provide a solution, right?
Yep.
You could theoretically, just start cranking out mentally ill people and getting them arrests, but you're actually the only person churning them out. Really, those people just needed mental help. Yeah, well, definitely. I think that's definitely happening. Like I follow a guy, you probably follow him too, Ken Silva from Headline USA, and he's done amazing work at showing how some of these white supremacy domestic terrorism networks are using confidential informants in very unethical ways.
Yeah, it's rife with it. It has been for a long time too, and people act like it's not. It's I mean, again, I don't like to go to movies and stuff like that, but they show you it in movies to get you comfortable with hearing it, and then we're like, yeah, I mean, we knew that was happening. They do that with everything. Like, it's insane.
Not so much satanic pedophiles. You don't, I mean, no, it's all really hokey.
They kind of keep out of it,
Yeah. I hope that they keep talking about this. I know there was a stabbing a few days ago. The stabbing was committed by a 14-year-old in Sweden who was in one of the channels that I monitor, and he was being groomed by one of the people that I monitor. Groomed in the sense that like they were goading him on, right? Well, it turned out that was not his first stabbing. So what happened is, like, he stabbed an 80-year-old man on the street on camera, post that camera in a channel that he called Sweden NLM. Well, it got onto the news because he was an Iranian immigrant. So, like, of course, the news picked up on that aspect, but not so much on the NLM stuff and what else was going on.
Yeah,
and so what happened is, like, we were monitoring the situation, and then I woke up one morning and I saw that 400 people had just joined this like nothing Telegram channel. So it had like maybe 10 members the night before, 400 people in there. And I found out that Sweden has like a Reddit kind of website. And there were all these people trying to figure out what was going on. They're trying to investigate this network. So now the entire country of Sweden basically discovered 764 NLM overnight. And now I was dealing with an influx of messages from people who were like, what's happening? I'm like, oh my God, get out of these places. You know, you don't need to be in there because there's illegal content, especially if you're in Sweden. You can't have some of that stuff that they have in there. But anyways, what we ended up finding out over the past couple of days was that this 14-year-old had actually had multiple victims. Maybe even 7, 8 people have been stabbed by this kid over. He was a serial stabber, is what we're finding out. And he had been targeting elderly people on the street at random. So really sick stuff.
Have they linked him to any rapes? Because I know a lot of times people who stab also rape. It's like a common link.
Not that I know of. I think that his thing was stabbing. I mean, he was only 14.
But they didn't. None of these people died, or did anyone die?
I don't know. I don't really know yet. I think that we're going to find out more soon. And again, this hasn't been a very big story in America, but it's people have been sending me Swedish articles, and then I have to translate it, and it's all like, it's all hard to read. I'm like, But I mean, it's pretty serious. And I think if I had to say, like, if I think the 764, I think NLM is more serious right now as far as it's a very big mass shooting threat, very big mass stabbing threat.
And that's No Lives Matter for people who don't know.
They have manuals out there for they distribute manuals on how to create bombs and poisons and how to go on shootings and stabbing sprees and stuff. So they're trying to teach kids how to do that stuff.
Wonderful.
Well, it sounds to me like they need it sounds to me like they need to hire you to head the department, and then things can like move along a little faster here.
I don't really want that job.
I probably wouldn't either, but I'm very impressed by your
what draws you to this? What brings you to this? Because like you told us what sparked it, but like you have kids, you have a husband, you got all this going on, and you put time and energy into this. So what is it that holds you to
clearly
it?
you're
like,
good at it.
What?
So there's that too.
Obviously, right, so
yeah.
what do you see? What do you want to happen in the future? What do you see happening in the future? What do you see coming?
So like for me, it's like, well, I started this and I'm going to finish it. Right. So for me, it's a big thing about like, I'm going to finish this shit. I got wrapped into it on accident when the victim started coming to me in January. I'm going to finish it. But then when I say that, it's like, oh, yay, we got a big butcher got arrested. Yeah. Awesome, guys. Good job. And then it's like, I'm going to take a little break. Ring, ring. Hey, we got something else. So it's just like nonstop evolving. Like, I don't think this is something that's going to stop. It's something that's going to continue to evolve for the foreseeable future. I don't know what drives me to keep going. I guess like some of my own morbid interest. Like I want to see it finished. I want to see people. I like seeing people get arrested in this network. That's great. I love it. You know, I like making the videos I'm making. I have one more video to make at least in my series where hopefully I can you know, tell my story. And then maybe one day I'll write a book about it. And I was thinking about writing a book too, maybe geared towards parents and how to like keep your kids safe online. That's something that I've been working on. So it would be a shame if I got all of this information and then then I died in a car accident tomorrow or something. It'd be like really a waste. Like that'd be a waste. That's what I'm saying. Like it's like I gotta put it out there so people have the information that I got. That's what drives me. That's all.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
You got to get it all out there. Keep it going.
We're gonna definitely. I'm gonna dive into this Substack later.
Oh, I watched.
And if I die in a car accident, ask questions, okay?
I will. We will. We're those people.
Who want me dead.
I will be all over it. But yeah, I watched her thread today on that, and I was like, oh my god, how have I never heard of her? Oh my god. So thank you. Thank you. It's a lot of awesome information. I had no clue you existed before this. I'm going to be honest. Until Death told me, and I was like, oh my God.
All four of my videos so far, part 1 through 4 are on my pinned tweet. You can go down the tweet thread and watch 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll be coming out with another one eventually. Soon.
Yeah, that's what I watched, and I was blown away.
And that other one's going to be more about number 5 is going to be more about personally how certain people have attacked me over this and like the dangers that I have personally faced.
That's something I wanted to ask you also, and it's a tiny bit off of what you just said, and not to be creepy at all, but I have to ask, do you feel like when you talk to people, like your looks as a white woman in your way, like hinder you, or do you think they help you? Do they bring down barriers? Like, because honestly, I want to
have
know
no
that, because
idea.
people look
You
at me
tell
my
me.
whole life. I have a shaved head and tattoos, and people are like, I get stopped on every plane thing. I get all that. So I don't know how it is on the other side. So I'm just curious. Like,
I don't know. I mean, you tell me. I think it's a double-edged sword, right? It just depends.
Yeah.
I mean, on the one hand, being kind of like, well, I will say, like, I look very young. Like, how old do you think I am? That's a trick question.
If I honestly had to
yeah.
guess, thinking what you're saying and your looks, I would guess early 30s.
I'm going to be 40 next month.
Yeah. So
I look younger.
That was only because what you said. I would guess younger other than that, but
yeah. So and I get that. I'm like a genetic freak,
Yeah.
but like So, but actually, like, it's great. Like, yeah, hooray. Like, but I'm going to hit the wall eventually. Don't worry. Like,
it's going to happen.
I'm going to wake up and be like, holy fuck, I'm 40. But,
in
but
all honesty, if you were asking me hard questions, it would be easier from you than some scruffy dude with a beard smoking a cigar or something. So I would think it benefits you, but I might think it hinders you in the way of people taking you seriously.
People underestimate my experience level, my life experience.
That might be
they're
a
like,
strength
well,
also.
she's young and she doesn't have any real experience. I'm like, dude, I've been around for a minute. Okay, I remember MTV. Like when it was like music videos.
When they played music, before the real world, people.
You just don't even understand.
So I mean, I guess that's funny that you mentioned that, because my hairstylist said it the other day, because I did a big podcast with a guy, Matt Kim, and I went to Georgia to do that with him.
You did Stu Peters too, didn't you?
Huh? No,
didn't you
I did InfoWars.
I thought Dad said that.
InfoWars.
Oh, InfoWars. Sorry, that was it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, the Matt Kim one hasn't come out. It should come out next week. But
awesome.
But I did my hair, and my hairstylist was like, "Well, like, is it a good thing or a bad thing that you look pretty? Maybe you should make yourself look like different. Maybe you should like look older. Put your hair up in a bun or something." And
Put
I was
some glasses on. Make yourself look smart.
Yeah, but then I said, you know what? I think there's actually been studies that show that people who are like put makeup on and try to look presentable actually have more success in the workplace.
Listen, see, the news wouldn't do it if a bunch of psychiatrists didn't talk about it first.
But is that because you take me seriously, or is it just because you want to work with me? Because I'm not going to be like the person who's like microwaving egg salad, like, and being sweaty. You know what I mean?
What a visual!
Are you microwaving trout?
What a visual
going on. No, I think it's like you said, it's a double-edged sword. It's a strength and a weakness in some certain ways. But people underestimating you is always good. It's good for people to underestimate. I mean, unless they're hiring you, I guess, for something. But
well,
to
be honest,
you're talking to,
terrorists underestimating me isn't a bad thing.
I had no idea, and I've been absolutely blown away, and I can't wait to dive into this. And I honestly, like, the intriguing thing for me too is how much you've connected your life with what you do. You know what I mean, and the reason behind it. And you're gonna spark a movement if you haven't already. You know, more people are gonna be like, hey, I could do this too. You know, and like you said, be careful. Right. But
and it's traumatic. I'm not going to lie. Like I get harassed by these guys who send me the worst stuff you can imagine seeing, like, to harass me. And
so
stuff.
It's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah. You hear that, people?
It's soul.
Don't go out and be like, I'm going to be investigating journalist.
I do feel though that this conversation, whether you realize it yet or not, is important, because there's a lot of people in the flat earth community that are obviously highly against pedophiles. They're highly against all the stuff you're against, and they don't know you yet. And I think it's important for them to discover you, because whether you agree with us on that or not, I honestly don't care, because I didn't agree on that before either. It doesn't matter, but all the stuff that you're about, we agree on. And I hope that a lot of flat earth people in the flat earth community listen to this and find your work and start getting into it, because you're doing all the things that we agree with. Calling people out,
agree or
looking
not,
for things.
And call me if you want to like assume that I'm CIA or something, that's fine too. But just watch the videos, because it's important to see. The biggest thing for me is that parents understand the dangers that their kids are facing online, and where they're, I've had a lot of people reach out to me and say, hey, I watched your video and I deleted Roblox from my kid's tablet. He's never playing it again. And I'm like, great. I made a difference. Maybe a small difference, but I made a difference. Yes, these are very dangerous things for kids. And I'm just happy if people are watching the video and seeing these things that I'm finding. And one thing that's different about my reporting, as opposed to like, I guess, like a standard journalist who's doing an investigative piece, is that the videos and stuff are from my point of view. Like, this is how a normie ass soccer mom found this, and this is my journey through finding these things. And so I'm just I'm not conspiracizing, and I'm not taking it to like crazy political streams. I'm just telling you, this is what I saw. Right. And this is what makes the most sense to me. And here now you're seeing it. And so I hope that that's what kind of strikes this is a bipartisan issue. This isn't political. Everybody should be paying attention to this. And so that's kind of my goal, is to I just want to tell people my story. That's it.
Well, I'm going to go watch your story and I'm going to listen to it.
And it's awesome because we probably live in very different worlds, but like, again, we agree on core things, and I appreciate the work you're doing, and we will push it hard because and I assume you think we always say this, but I really believe in what you're doing, and I am going to push it with all my heart, because people need to see what you're doing.
How close it's hitting home to me right now, and the things I have even talked, he's been my friend for well over 25 years, and I haven't even told him the things I've been dealing with my oldest daughter right now, with exactly what you're talking about. So, and I know I'm not the only one. So everybody out there,
and it's not just like bad parents that this happens to either. Everybody's got kids who go through their phases, and you just don't know.
Super overprotective of mine, and I'm still learning. Wow, I didn't see that one coming.
They're good with technology, man. They're better than you.
A little too good. A little too good. I'm telling you, people, wake up. Wake up. Go follow her. Go hit the links. We're gonna have them all listed.
Oh yes,
BX, you are awesome. Thank you so much. I think Rufus dropped out, but I know he appreciates you as well.
Texted me. Sorry, he said his phone was dying. He's like, I have 1%. Just tell her goodbye for me and thank you.
No
it
worries.
Was awesome. So yes,
no
and
worries.
Send me any links you want under the We're Kicked Off YouTube. So Rumble, I can post whatever I want.
I was gonna say, here's my Beacons link. You're gonna see a lot of art stuff on there, because I also do art. You can buy my art if you like it. Okay.
Hey,
oh, that's awesome. If you want
Even
to
I'm like, I gotta do something to like relieve the stress.
If you ever want to do a design for us, just
maybe I do like spacescapes, but
okay. We'll work on that one.
Maybe not. No.
That's so
Hold on, let me see. Can I
I just caught that. That's hilarious. I can make it a disc. I can make it a disc.
That's so good. All right, hold on.
Great.
So here we go. Yes.
There we go.
Here we go. Yes.
That was kind of flat looking.
I'll post this.
I love it.
And all that. Yeah, that's awesome.
That was good.
In all honesty, like, I'm sure I don't care what shape you think the earth is, but the fact that you're willing to talk to us is awesome. And honestly, okay, here's the thing. 10 years ago, actually less than that, but it doesn't matter. 10 years ago, I didn't believe in God. I grew up, grandparents were Catholic, mom was Christian, always said the right things and kind of believed in God when I was younger, grew up, didn't believe in God. I wasn't a great person. I wasn't a horrible person, but I wasn't a great person. And one night, I happened to be sleeping on the couch and started watching YouTube videos about Mandela effect. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And then it led to a flat earth video. And I was like, ha, ha, ha. I'm going to see Bill tomorrow at work and we're going to laugh at this. 4 hours later, I was like, oh my God, I need to keep looking because nothing has been proven wrong to me yet. And it led to me realizing that there was a creator, because if there's a creation, there has to be a creator. And it led me to be a much better person, and Bill can vouch for this.
Yes.
It changed my life. It changed everything for me because I realized we're here for a reason. Even if I don't know what that reason is, I'm here for a reason. And after finding that, I literally felt like, and I told Bill again, like, I feel like we should be sharing this stuff, but I can't. And Bill was like, dude, if you don't share it, you're selfish. And we went on Twitter and started doing this, and it's changed my life again. So
That's awesome.
it's
What
an
you're
awakening
doing is the
thing,
same
and
thing.
no matter, yes, it is.
It's
what
the same
you're,
thing. It's
that's
not.
why
It's not totally
yes, go
like
ahead,
running
Bill.
around saying the Earth is flat and getting made fun of 24/7. However, what you're doing, you're going against the grain. You're shedding these light into these dark areas, and
I hate to
bringing
use
awareness.
the term your truth because people manipulate that, but you're sharing what you know is truth, and that's what we're doing, and it takes courage, and I respect
thank you
that.
for that. Thank you for that, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciated
Thank you
it.
so much.
Had a
Dad,
good
you need to
time.
fade us out.
If after that,
you
yes,
can.
Death, fade us out. And if after that thing in February, was it February, the thing, if you happen to want to come back, let us know.
yeah.
We will
I'd love
happily
to.
have
Let's
you
get an
back
update.
once you know what finds out, what
Yes.
happens with that. And we can talk about, I'm sure, so much more also.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you guys. I appreciate y'all so much.
BX.
Y'all, I love y'all. Southern. I love it.
I love it.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. We appreciate you. We appreciate you staying over an hour when you only had an hour. Thank you very
No worries.
much. And you have expanded my mind. And that's
Yes,
why
absolutely.
we started this podcast. So thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Hey, thank you guys. Thank you, Bill and Ted. I appreciate you.
All right.
Excellent.
Excellent. Okay.
All right. Bye, guys. Thank
All right,
you.
Bye. Thank
Later.
you.
Bye.